Over 99% of you aren't subscribed, so please support a fellow weeb and click that button. Is Eren Yeager based? Ever since episode 71 of Attack on Titan, where Eren essentially creates his own terror cell, I have seen many individuals on Twitter who are visibly upset with the direction the story has taken. The other half of the community, however, deems his actions understandable and epic. In order to decide whether Eren's actions are literally genocide or are indeed epic, we will have to look at the actions he's previously taken, starting with the massacre at Liberia. While we could jump to conclusions and say that massacring an entire population is not cool, we have to take into consideration what happened right before. During his reunion with one of his former enemies, Eren can be seen having a very pleasant and wholesome conversation. After hearing that this old frenemy is having suicidal thoughts, Eren offers him his hand and is being extremely supportive. This shows that he's an advocate for mental health, which is very progressive and extremely cool. Following this, Eren proceeds to systematically kill several dozen people, but does so with the understanding that they aren't bad, just different, which makes it completely okay. The next point haters look towards is the fact that Eren laughed when his childhood friend died horribly. While you could say this behavior is psychotic, I personally believe he was just making the best out of a very bad situation. The final piece of evidence that definitively proves that Eren is epic and not a terrorist is that he says he loves his friends. And as we know, in anime, love is the strongest force of all, even stronger than genocide. What if Soy Milk was canon? Now you might be thinking, something as simple as soy milk surely wouldn't affect the storyline of Attack on Titan, but that's where you'd be wrong. Making soy milk is an extremely difficult and industrial process that requires computers and machinery. If soy milk existed in Attack on Titan's universe, then their technology would be years ahead of what we've seen. It is very likely that the introduction of these soy milk machines would also cause advanced weaponry like guns and tanks to be introduced into the universe way ahead of time. This would mean that during the invasion to destroy the wall, Annie, Reiner, and Bertolt would have come face to face with weapons that could easily kill them, and it's very likely that none of the events of Attack on Titan would have taken place if soy milk existed. That is only one possibility though. In another timeline where they do break down the wall, Annie, Reiner, and Bertolt would grow up drinking soy milk. This unfortunate fate could lead to only one result. All three of them would grow up to become betas. Personally, I believe that this was the plan all along, as the designs of Udo, Colt, and Zofia are extremely similar. It is very likely that Isayama wanted to take the soy milk route, but scrapped the idea and instead opted for something much less controversial. I will soon be releasing the self-published What If Soy Milk arc. Subscribe so you don't miss what Attack on Titan really should have been. In episode 7 of Attack on Titan's final season, John has the perfect opportunity to eliminate both Falco and the Cart Titan. However, as we know, things don't go as planned. The show offers up two explanations. Either John himself missed, or the steam from Piek blew his shot off course. However, with a bit of applied science and gigabrain reasoning, we can definitely prove that none of these things were to blame. And here we have the true culprit, or more precisely, here. Based on super advanced high school level physics, we know that when objects become large enough, they create their own gravitational pull. Now, Gabby's nose is big, but surely it's not that big, right? Well, kind of. But the secret is density. As the balding legend Mr. Uziel taught me, once things become dense enough, like asteroids or your mom, they actually produce their own light along with gravity. This is known as black body radiation. And here we can see that is one big goddamn nose. And it's shining like a light bulb, thereby proving that Gabby's nose does indeed have its own gravity field. Now you might be thinking, no, wait, that's not possible, she wasn't on screen during that scene. But that's exactly the point. As we can see here, Gabby was close enough to provide assistance at a moment's notice, and the thunder spear that John fired was pulled by some unnatural force towards the location she was most likely standing. and thus we can assume that Gabby's nose is strong enough to pull objects even from off-screen. Had her nose been just a smidgen smaller, Falco would have been blown up and Gabby would have been reduced to a screaming lump once again, meaning many of the events of the show could have been avoided. In summary, Gabby Brown is the root of all evil. In my previous video, I made the rash statement that Eren was, in fact, not a terrorist. However, new evidence from episode 73 has recently come to light and made me realize the truth. Previously, I was willing to look past the acts of mild genocide and child murder, because I believe that Eren's love for his friends and mental health advocacy greatly outweighed his war crimes on the scale of epicness. As we now know, however, Eren is not a supporter of mental health at all. Shockingly, there is actually an entire scene dedicated to Eren bullying Armin for being schizophrenic and possessed by the memories of the fallen. Had this been an incident of light teasing because of Armin's mental condition, I would have looked past it, but Eren crossed the line when things got physical. As we all know, you cannot, under any circumstances, punch the retarded kid. This is also not a case of self-defense, as anyone would be able to tell you that Armin is not physically capable of harming Eren because he is simply too frail. This is bullying, and bullying is super fucking lame. The real nail in the coffin though, that 100% shows Eren is now an awful human being and is not epic at all, is that he no longer loves his friends. In fact, he hates them. I could not believe my eyes and ears when I saw him say this, and I had to take several cry breaks throughout this scene. Beating up Armin is one thing, but making the best girl in all of anime cry is absolutely irredeemable and worse than any actual terrorism he committed. In summary, we can forgive the massacre of thousands of people. We can forgive him bullying the kid with multiple personality disorder, but we cannot forgive him being mean to Mikasa. If you haven't heard the news yet, anime has finally breached the mainstream. Weebs around the world celebrated yesterday as the United States government finally acknowledged Attack on Titan, and then promptly declared it to promote terrorism. Although I'm sad that me and Joe Biden probably don't have the same favorite anime, I'm excited that we'll soon have weebs that are holding political office. This brings us closer than we've ever been to finally having government-mandated girlfriends, as it should have been so long ago. I do think the outrage over this is kind of overblown. Calling for people to be arrested over a meme is a little extreme, and Marlian, if this was meant to be a call to violence, I don't think they would have stopped at season 1, because as most of you know, it gets so much worse than just having big-headed Joe Biden on screen. I hope Attack on Titan doesn't become some kind of right-wing calling card like Pepe, because if it does, then I'm definitely already on a watch list for my Mikasa Atasha car and my Weeb wall. Even though it seems like the whole world is against him right now, it doesn't seem like the dude that posted the meme is backing down. He's just gonna keep moving forward. The second season of Demon Slayer is fast approaching. The first season was widely beloved by all, from normies who were watching anime for the first time, to weebs who thought it was a revolutionary shonen where the MC finally isn't an asshole. But I've recently realized it's deeper than this. Demon Slayer is the first anime with a protagonist that has a major mental disability, which makes him infinitely more relatable to everyone watching this show. In episode 3 of the first season, Tanjiro encounters Sabito and Makumo, who we later find out were already deceased. Urokadaki's surprise overhearing this leads us to believe that they are ghosts, but this simply cannot be true. As you should all know by now, Urokadaki is a former Hashira, meaning that he's mentally and physically reached the peak of human capability. Not to mention, he's extremely old and probably knows a lot of stuff. If anyone were to know about the supernatural, it would be him, yet he's caught off guard, confirming that ghosts do not exist in the Demon Slayer universe. Tanjiro most likely has self-inflicted brain damage from smashing his head against a rock, which triggered a psychotic break. If this wasn't enough, there's still more evidence that confirms Tanjiro is indeed tweaking. As the protagonist, this show is told almost entirely from his perspective, and this includes all of the demon backstories that we see. I believe these aren't actually flashbacks, but instead, his deteriorating mind is constructing false memories to help him cope with the fact that he's a mass murderer. In summary, Tanjiro isn't a nice guy, he's just schizophrenic, and that's why we love him. I cannot wait to see where Manjiro's next journey takes him and how his PTSD manifests to justify him killing more little kids that aren't the same color as him.